What's up, you guys? This is another episode of the Sci-Fly Zone, where the multiverse meets the seventh inning stretch. And today's destination is going to be taking us back to Major League Baseball because we're going to be recapping a lot of the stuff that's happened in the playoffs so far. And also, today we have a very special guest. He's a dedicated Dodger fan. He's a cool guy. CJ and I actually met him way back in the day in probably middle school at a baseball camp. And now he runs a very consistent and interactive social media page, not just for the Dodgers, but also other LA sports related content. So please check out his Instagram and his TikTok at ballparkela. And here he is, Mr. Ian.
Hey, what's up, guys? How we doing?
Yo, what's up, bro? Thank you
How's
for
it going?
joining.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Glad to see another social media baseball guy here, talk some ball. It's really cool.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I know we got a couple Angel fans and a Dodger fan, so I know it's not always the friendliest
No.
invite for some, but no, I'm glad that I'm able to make it, and we can chop up what's going on in the division series, what could happen in the NLCS, ALCS, and then whatever else.
Yeah, anything to take down the Yankees at this point, right?
Looks like that is going to happen with relative ease. So.
Yes, sir.
They might not need your help with that actually. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Toronto's got that one. I don't know about you guys. Is that like the biggest shocker so far of the playoffs? Is just how Toronto is running through the Yankees with like, it does. They look like it's like a AAA team out there. I mean, they
Mhm.
are just going past their pitching, and they're. I mean, the Yankees didn't they have like 10 strikeouts in the first four innings the other day?
Yeah, the
They
bats
It
were
was
not hot.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was. I'll be honest, Toronto. Apologies. I've said it before. I was not familiar with your game, which is crazy considering they literally had the best batting average for a team in all of baseball. So they clearly know how to get on base and get hits. But um, yeah, I was all in on Seattle. Toronto's working hard to change my mind.
yeah, absolutely. I have been pretty surprised with how Toronto's been playing, not only like in the playoffs, but this whole season in general. Like I probably shouldn't be as surprised about them doing as well as they are, considering they have the best record in the American League. I mean, the way that they've been handling the Yankees has just been like it's been complete dominance. I mean, they scored 23 runs in the first two games. Like they're seeming like a real threat right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
no, I mean they have enough starting pitching to get through the playoffs. Bullpen's good. But I think yeah, their lineup is just especially without Bichette. That's what surprises me. They're just deep. They just have guys that it's like wow, like Ernie Clement in the seven hole is about as good as it gets. Like even as a Dodgers fan, I'm like I don't even know if he'd be hitting seven in our lineup. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Oh man.
yeah, dude.
I think I think there were five Blue Jays right now who have an OPS over 1,000 in the playoffs, which is like, I mean, when you're hitting that well, it makes sense that you're going to be scoring that many runs.
So much for the wild card round being the momentum thing to go in. Everyone always said that the first couple of years, it's like, oh, you go and you got the one and two seeds are slow and they're kind of rusty. It does not look like it there.
No.
Yeah, I actually did want to ask you about that because I've heard like differing opinions on like getting a wild card spot or getting a
Yeah.
bye round. Like, what are you more confident in when the Dodgers are in the playoffs? Do you want them to be in that wild card spot and like stay consistent, or do you want them to get a break and get some more days of rest?
No, I was greatly disappointed that they had to even play the wild card round. I I don't think it benefits teams at all. I think it adds a weird best of three series where you have to basically put your entire season on the line. It's almost like the wild card game in a best of two after playing 162 games. Luckily, they got through Cincinnati with relative ease, despite the fact that their bullpen did give us heart attacks back to back nights. I think the first couple years, people had small sample size fever, and they're like, "Oh my God, you get these teams that are." Let's take a look at it. So in 2022, yeah, the Padres beat the Dodgers, and that's what freaked everybody out. The Dodgers in 2022 and 2023 were good regular season teams. They did not have good lineups six through nine. So their star power and their depth of pitching could kind of get them through the regular season. Well, their pitchers weren't spectacular and their offense wasn't deep. Flip it over to 24, they have the bye round and they go on to win the World Series. Why? Because they constructed a better roster. Texas beats Baltimore and route to the World Series. Well, the Orioles were a young team. They way overachieved, as we've seen this year, that their core is not what we thought it was. So I think we got this weird thing. Philadelphia beats Atlanta. Philadelphia is just one of those teams that's built for the playoffs. They're just built, not to have great regular seasons sometimes, but have just strong lineup. So I think we just kind of were being fooled, and you're seeing it now. If you're a 1 or a 2 seed for the most part, you're probably the better team. You're probably going to advance.
Yeah, I think that's well said.
See that.
Yeah, and upsets just happen in baseball. So I'll still take my chances with the bye round, but glad the Dodgers got through it.
Yeah, plus, teams can still like do inner squads like in their off days. Like I saw the Mariners, they were doing inner squads, and they also opened up their stadium to all of their fans, and you could pay $10 and sit wherever you want and watch them play against each other. So that was pretty cool.
I love that. That's like when teams are away and they open up their stadium to do a watch party. That's
Yeah.
cool.
I
Fun
love
ways,
that.
fun ways to kind of get the people involved and get your fan base active. But man, Seattle too. That's another. I know they're tied 1-1 with Detroit, but did you guys happen to see the video or the picture of that guy? I think they caught him in the crowd. He was like crying when
Yeah.
J-Rod got the 2-run double.
I did see
You
that.
can't help I can't help but be like just happy for Mariners fans right now. Like I want them to make it out of the AL so badly because those fans have suffered for so long. Like this to me as a Dodger fan, this means something to me. We just won the World Series. Mariners fans, you know how much this means to them to see their team be good and finally have a real shot at winning a World Series.
They've only made 2 playoff appearances in the last 2 decades. And I don't think they even made it past the divisional round in said 2 appearances. So
Yeah.
just seeing playoff success, from a fan perspective, I mean, I can totally understand why that guy's, about to cry his eyes out. He's just like, I didn't know if I'd be able to live to see this day or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like it's like the Mariners within the last 2 decades have gone through like 2 completely opposite sides of the coin. You have like in 2001, you have 116 win season, and then you like barely and don't make the playoffs for the next 20 years. And now they're back in that spot where they are one of the more dominant teams and one of the more exciting teams in baseball. And I can't even imagine what it would be like to be like an older Mariners fan or a fan who was there watching in 2000 and 2001 and then going through the hardship of them struggling for so long and now for them being back in that same spot. Like, it's great. I'm going to feel the same way when the Angels make the playoffs again,
Yeah.
That's going to be a similar feeling.
Yeah, it's such a the crazy thing. I'm sure you guys can attest. I remember even as a kid with the Angels, I'm a Dodgers fan, so I grew up a Dodgers fan with my family, and the Angels were actually the better team. Like in the early 2000s, even the early 2010s, they were kind of the better team before the Dodgers switched ownership. They were signing free agents. They were making the playoffs. They had the squad with Torrey Hunter and Ibar, Kendrick, and those guys. And I don't know where it went wrong. It's the same ownership group, but I mean, that fan base. I mean, dude, they deserve a lot more. I've been to Angel games. They're affordable, and people still show out for that team.
I'm going to say, as an Angel fan, things went wrong between the periods of signing Albert Pujols and Josh Hamilton. Somewhere around there is when things started getting bad. And I think after we got swept in the playoffs in 2015, it was against the Royals,
To
right?
2014 even, I think.
2014. Yeah, 2014. Yeah, when we got swept and then, people were like, Trout sucks. He only has 1 hit in the playoffs. I think that like that energy just has never left since.
Which is insane considering that was like a division series from over a decade ago. It's hard to believe. And I think the next year they missed the playoffs by 1 game, and then it's just been ever since then
Mediocrity.
Yeah. Yeah, even with Shohei and Trout and the Rendon signing too, which definitely hamstrung him. But
yeah, if you go back to some of our older MLB videos, we have some very nice things to say about Anthony Rendon.
Huge fans of it. Love him. Yeah.
big Rendon guys.
Yeah, all my buddies hate Rendon.
He's like Voldemort now for us. We don't say the name.
Yeah, all our homies hate Rendon. It's like us with Tanner Scott, but not because like it's basically just crying tears. It's like my steak is too juicy, my lobster's too buttery at this point. So
yeah, at least like Tanner Scott is trying.
Yeah, at least he like wants to play baseball.
Yeah, literally. So really quick, I just want to do a quick recap of all the series and stuff that has happened up to this point for what we haven't covered from our last MLB video. For all the wild card game 3s, the Tigers beat the Guardians, Cubs beat the Padres, Yankees beat the Red Sox, And then for the American League Division Series and National League Division Series, the game ones where the Brewers beat the Cubs 9-3. The Blue Jays beat the Yankees 10-1. Dodgers beat the Phillies 5-3. And the Tigers beat the Mariners in extras 3-2. And then in our game twos, we got the Blue Jays taking a 2-0 series lead versus the Yankees with a 13-7 win. And then we got the Mariners hitting the Tigers with a reverse card and winning this one 3-2 as well to tie the series 1-1. And then the Dodgers won 4-3 versus the Phillies to take a 2-0 lead in the series. That one was a nail biter. That was crazy. And then the Brewers beat the Cubs 7-3. The Brewers, dude, they're chilling. They're always chilling. I don't get it.
They're looking good. They have scored in the first two games of the NLDS. They've scored 9 runs in the first inning in both games. Like they scored 6 runs in the first, and then they scored 3 runs in the first. It's just like they are. Everything is going right. Everything is going right for the Brewers right now in the division series, a division rivalry series. So, I mean, probably means a little bit more to them too. But yeah, I mean, it's going really well for the Brewers right now.
Yeah.
They strike early and they strike fast, which is a very interesting thing that you mentioned, CJ, about them scoring in the first, because usually, and I know it's a division rivalry, so they've seen Matthew Boyd, they've seen Imanaga, they've seen these pitchers, but usually for a lineup, it's about advantage pitcher first time through the lineup. You get through the second time through the lineup, pitcher still usually has pretty good numbers. It's when you get through the third time in the lineup, which is usually the 5th inning, the 6th inning, that's when you start to see advantage hitters. Well, Milwaukee's got advantage in the first inning when they're going through the lineup for the first time. I've been trying to make sense of the Milwaukee Brewers all season long, and I can't. I don't understand how this team that doesn't have a top 100 player, but a group of a bunch of guys within the top 200 continue to just not only win but dominate all season long. After they got embarrassed by the Yankees on opening day in that opening series, where Nestor Cortez, who's now long gone, pitched against his former team, they look fantastic. I mean, they're. I don't have an answer for the Brewers. I'm not going to try to make sense of it. The Dodgers were 0-6 against them this year, and now they might have to go play them in the NLCS. It looks very likely that that's going to be the matchup. I also think the Cubs just like completely fell off after the first half. You had PCA, who was, a top 3 MVP candidate, and now he's irrelevant, and he's like the worst OPS in baseball, I think, in the second half.
Yeah.
So you get part of it's the Cubs just, and I think Craig Counsell overmanages, whereas I think Pat Murphy lets his guys play. So huge advantage Milwaukee. I can't make sense of them, but again, just one of the many 2-0s that we have in the division series right now.
Yeah, I think once they had that huge win streak near the All-Star break, I think they were just like, let's just keep doing that formula the whole time.
Never took their foot off the gas.
No. And then today we got the Mariners versus the Tigers with Logan Gilbert going against Jack Flaherty. Go Mariners. I think Jack Flaherty is going to crap the bed, hopefully.
Well, as a Dodger fan, he had a pretty good start last time. So if it means anything in the playoffs, it means his next start's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
That's usually how it goes with him. Very, very inconsistent. And yeah, go M's. I mean, they I think have the strongest roster in the American League right now, kind of by a mile. Everyone wants to see Big Dumper win MVP, even though he won't, and they definitely want to see him get past. Definitely want to see him get past further than the Yankees would. But they've got a deep lineup. I mean, they're without Brian Wu for right now. And I think we all want to see Brian Wu pitch in October. So let's get him to the ALCS.
Yeah, I really want to see them in the ALCS, man. Like, and I know their fans want it too. So that energy is only gonna like amp up the fuel for the fire, basically.
That's not a friendly place to be an opponent.
No.
The Tigers, Mariners, and the Yankees Blue Jays series have been like complete opposites, I feel like, so far. The Mariners and Tigers, both games ending 3-2, which is pretty cool. Split 1-1. And the Blue Jays have 29 hits against the Yankees in 2 games. Like, it's just the offense is completely overwhelming them. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen when 2 of these teams meet up in the ALCS. Is the Blue Jays offense going to like keep their foot on the gas? Is the Mariners or Tigers pitching going to be able to compete a little bit more than the Yankees? But I think it's going to be really exciting regardless of what we get.
I mean, they
Yeah.
got Carlos Rodon going today, the Yankees, and he's probably been their best guy, outside of Max Fried, which, yes, I did watch last game. Don't worry. But if the Yankees are going to rely on anybody, I think it's going to be Rodon, especially, they're down 0-2. It's game 3.
Yeah, no, I mean, if they're done, I mean, they're going to have to answer a lot of questions in the offseason
Yeah.
today. I mean, that I see a lot of people criticizing it with Max Fried being the signing because he's just struggled in the postseason. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
Blake Snell was out there. Dodgers go pick him up. He's been a dog all postseason long, and he's been a dog in the past in the playoffs. I mean, that's why the Dodgers got him. They saw what he can do to teams. Um, I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think. Do you feel like because I have my opinion on it. Do you think, analytically, like, no, the players are who the players are. October doesn't make a difference. Or do you think something about October brings out the best in some guys and brings out the worst in others?
Ask David Freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he has one of the biggest increases in OPS from regular season to postseason. It's like he's in between Carlos Beltran and George Brett in terms of postseason hitters. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I feel like, yeah, I do think it really makes a difference for some players. I feel like no matter how good you can be in the regular season, there are some players who, once the lights get a little bit brighter and once the games mean a little bit more, and especially considering you're like late in the season, you've already played 160 games. Like there are some guys who can just go up to another level, and some guys either like stay where they're at or kind of fall off. We don't have to talk about Aaron Judge in the postseason, but everybody knows what's going on there. Like for some reason, some guys just are able to lock in and others aren't.
Yeah.
Even as a Dodgers fan, I'm well used to that with Kershaw. So we've seen the good and the bad of it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, he's back on the roster for the division series as a bullpen option.
He is, and I think at some point we'll see him get his get back. I think he got it in 2020. I think winning the World Series and being an important part of that team. But of course, 2023 was that disastrous start against the D-backs, and he didn't pitch last year. So I think we'd all love to see Kershaw, get one last crack at contributing, as we know it's his last year.
Yeah,
100%.
I think he works better out of the bullpen, like given where he is in his career at this point. I think it makes more sense coming out of the bullpen. Also, considering how the Dodgers bullpen hasn't really been that reliable, I feel like you can have a bit more reliability in Clayton Kershaw anyway.
Yeah, a lot more of a steady hand than Trinan or Scott. You know, I think if we're going to talk about the Dodgers Phillies series too,
Mm-hmm.
2-0, it's the slimmest 2-0 series I've ever experienced in my life, and I know they're on the verge of sweeping Philadelphia and just taking game 3, but I don't know to reference another sport, it almost feels like that Lakers Nuggets series. If you guys remember from a couple years back, where the Nuggets swept the Lakers and every game was within like 5 points, and it feels like one of those. It feels like it could be the most narrow sweep potentially, as we're up 2-0 at the moment, that you could see.
Yeah, it's only been a difference of 3 runs in the series so far.
Yeah, and then I think about it, the Phillies have scored only 6 runs. So a third of their runs came in the 9th inning with no outs yesterday off Blake Trinan, who's part of that Dodgers bullpen that's been terrible. Otherwise, I've said they've turned their, weakness into a strength by shortening their rotation and being able to throw their starters in the pen.
Mm-hmm.
Sasaki's been absolutely incredible. Sheehan's been, dynamite yesterday. Glasnow's held it down. Kershaw, we haven't seen the opportunity to pitch, but he's there. I mean, it's weird because these guys don't get to do their full starter routines. But I think sometimes talent just equals talent.
Yeah, and also sometimes you just have to put yourself like where you fit best in the dynamic of everything. Like despite where your normal position might be. Unless you're Rafael Devers, then never mind.
It's just you're wrecked. It's this season's over for you. And you're actually going to make the team worse that you got traded to.
Dude, the Red Sox got so much better after he left. CJ's been making that point in some of our videos throughout the year, dude. It's so funny.
Oh, so weird, man. I don't understand.
I don't get it. I was flaming the Red Sox after that. I'm like, seriously, Kyle Harrison and I can't even remember who the other pitcher was. Oh, Jordan Hicks.
I think everyone was on the side of the Giants being like, dude, smart pickup. That was pretty good. But I kind of flipped my opinion now.
Well, you would think it's like the Giants. How many times have they swung and missed on getting the guy? They had Arson Judge was signed, according to John Heyman, and then he goes back to the Yankees.
Correa.
And Yeah, Carlos Correa, which yeah, that looks like it probably worked out for the best now because he's washed when he doesn't have a trash can and a buzzer to tell him what pitch is coming. Well, actually, he does now that he's back in Houston, so all is good in the world, I guess, for him. Um, but I'm never getting over 2017, by the way. But yeah, I mean, they've just swung and missed, like you guys have said countless times, and you're like, finally they get the guy, because Willy Adames is not the guy. Willy Adames is a nice chess piece that you add to the lineup. And it just was a powder keg for them. I know they got like what 8 more years out of it, but doesn't look like it's off to a good start. The Devers era in San Francisco.
Yeah, I agree.
1.2, I think that we were kind of talking about in terms of trades and mortgaging your future on something. You mentioned how in the wild card rounds, you had, the Red Sox, Guardians, and Padres all get eliminated on the same day. Do you want to take a guess what the top three bullpens were in terms of ERA this season?
I'm willing to bet the three teams that you just said.
Yeah, eliminated on the first round. So it's a weird thing how I think teams ever since the Royals in 2015 have see one team win a World Series and massively overvalue one facet of the game and then kind of ignore, hey, our lineup doesn't hit enough home runs. Hey, our lineup's kind of young. We don't have enough starting pitching. And then meanwhile, you invest in the bullpen. Funny enough, the teams that have struggled with the bullpen, teams that are in the bottom 15, they're all playing right now. The Phillies, Dodgers, Blue Jays, teams that don't have dynamite bullpens. I think out of the top 10, most of those teams missed the playoffs. So it's a weird phenomenon that's going on in baseball for sure.
Yeah, that Royals year feels like such an anomaly now. Like it feels like it's so out of place. It feels like it was like the new Moneyball essentially. Like they were just a scrappy team. They just had like a good lineup and they had some lockdown closers who could like keep a lead for them late in the game. But we haven't really seen much of that from teams since then. I feel like teams are kind of more so relying on like starting pitching to get them through heavy offense, hitting a lot of homers, scoring a lot of runs. And we didn't really see a lot of that with the Royals, but it seems like a lot of teams took a big lesson from that in the sense that like we need to get our bullpen right. And it just hasn't worked out for some teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think like CJ said, it's really true. A lot of teams overvalued what the Royals did. You had, Colorado went and paid Wade Davis, and it was just an absolute disaster. And there's been countless teams that have invested, Edwin Diaz, the Dodgers, Tanner Scott, teams, even the smart teams have invested in the relief pitchers. And I think what it is relievers are so volatile. Season to season, they're different.
Yeah, I have another one too. The Mets, they got 3 relievers at the trade deadline. And
where
are they now?
Oh, yeah. Yankees, they're about to get knocked out probably by the Blue Jays in the next day or two. It's funny. And then you pilfer your farm system. All of a sudden you're out of the top 10. You don't have a top 100 prospect on your farm team, and the team you just gave him away to, the A's, they're moving to Vegas in a couple years. They're going to be good. So a lot of these teams, they were smart. I think that if anyone should follow a blueprint, it's the Cubs. You build with position players. You build a young core of position players. You go get veteran pitchers that you trust. That's how you win.
Yeah.
That's the winning formula.
Yeah. Good bats and guys that have been there before know what to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I kind of want to talk about game 2 of the series a little bit.
Yeah, as a Dodgers fan, it's terrifying because, as you know, hasn't always been rainbows and sunshine in October for Dodgers fans up until last year. And you have these starters that give you these great games. And I remember in 2014 against the Cardinals, they'd be up, you have a 4-run lead. You turn it over to the bullpen and they collapse, or your starter collapses, or, like you've got a team that knows what pitch is coming and now you're locked into a 13-13 game into extra innings. So as a Dodgers fan, for one, your cheeks are clenched a little bit. You're a little nervous. And I think a weird thing I've noticed though was a strange feeling of confidence in Dave Roberts to finally make the right decision. This is a guy I did not trust for years. I think part of it is he just has a better roster now to work with. But you throw in Trinan because he looked good in the series against the Reds, and he clearly didn't look good against the Phillies. It looked like they knew what pitch was coming because he's just not who he was once upon a time. Um, of course, Dodger fans are making tons of jokes about Blake Trinan right now as we speak. Um, but I think the willingness to put it all out on the line and say, screw it. Game four starter, you're gonna pitch out of the bullpen. Emmett Sheehan, you've been awesome all year long. We might need you later in the series, but we're going for right now. I think that mentality and that attitude of, I think the Dodgers have passed and teams have passed, even in other teams can look and think, oh, okay, we took a game at the bank. We took a game on the road. We got the home field advantage. We'll throw our relievers and whatever happens, happens. No, step, step on them right now, as Dan Campbell would say in football, bite their kneecaps off, and don't ever let them get another chance. And I think using Sasaki out of the pen is gutsy. He's got the stuff. I was worried about his composure, but he looks unshaken. So I think I think they found a guy they can trust. And then Glasnow and Sheehan. I think of it like Josh Hader in Milwaukee in 2018, super reliever, or an Andrew Miller. They're starting pitchers. They'll be back in the rotation next year, but for right now, you don't need them. You got three guys that can get through. In a game four, you could maybe have, Kershaw tag team it with a Glasnow or something like that. So I think playing for right now is the mentality. Playing for the series that you're in. Don't let Blake Trinan stay out there and then go replace him with Tanner Scott. You go out and you get Sasaki to pitch. If you have to use three guys in an inning, you use three guys in an inning.
Yeah,
I think
just focusing on the matchups.
Yeah, at the day of. Forget about tomorrow.
that's what I like. That's one thing I can really appreciate about the Dodgers and the Dodgers management is the way that they handle their pitching, especially in the playoffs. They're not afraid to tell a guy hey, I know you're probably going to start game 4 or 5, but be ready tonight if we need you out of the pen. Like you said, Emmett Sheehan had 13 games, 11 of them in the regular season were starts, and Tyler Glasnow has not came into a game in relief since 2018. I
No, but he was
believe.
on Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Yeah, since he was with Pittsburgh. So the fact that they are not only they sign a lot of guys, they sign a lot of pitchers, and they trade for a lot of pitchers because they know that they're going to be doing things like this, because they know that they're going to need guys in certain situations, and those guys are bought in and are willing to do it for the betterment of the team, to make them successful today. And Roki Sasaki is a great example of that, I think, because he was supposed to be a starter going into the season, but now, coming back from injury, now that he's back, they have him in the pen. They just say, hey, go throw hard out there, go throw your disgusting splitter, and it's been working out.
Yeah, got to ride with the hot hands. Forget about the analytics. Forget about the little book. You saw Boston did it in 2018. They had Nathan Eovaldi pitch game 3, and they lost that game. But it's that mentality and that culture that won them the World Series. That kind of, we're all in. Forget about the specialists. Forget about the platoon matchups. Will Smith, Max Muncy off the bench, cool. We're gonna put you in. Get us the game-winning single to drive in 2 runs. That's it's funny, I think in baseball we lose sight of that. We lose sight of the fact that it's a team game. I think people individualize it too much. Still 26 guys out there that are pulling for each other.
Yeah, and also I think another factor on why the Dodgers management of their pitching is so successful, they have a bunch of guys that they can always throw in whenever the situation calls for it. You're not going to be seeing them, many times. You're going to be seeing a lot of different guys depending on the scenario, because baseball never has the same situation twice.
No, every single thing is unique and one off.
Yeah,
that's why it's funny. You get these things. You got an inning and someone tries to stretch a double into a single into a double into a triple, and they get thrown out, and the next 2 guys get out, and you have a 1-2-3 inning. It's like, if that guy's on second base, that could be a 4-run inning. It's a domino effect in baseball. One little thing can change everything. That's what I was worried about with the Dodgers when Teoscar tried to stretch out that single. I'm like, oh god, here we go again.
Yeah, dude. I hear you. So yeah, Ian, I got one more question for you. Do you think, as a Dodgers fan, are they ruining baseball with the way that they're handling their financials?
You're gonna get a really biased answer out of this one.
Of course.
No, they're not ruining baseball for many reasons, and I'll argue this one. First point, I don't think people really have a concept of the money deferral process and how it works. everyone in their mind seems to think that the Dodgers signed Shohei Ohtani to a $700 million contract the day that he signed with the Dodgers, and that's just factually so inaccurate. And that he's only taking 20 million a year. That is just isn't true. Baseball's not a salary cap league; it's a luxury tax league. So essentially, you don't have a hard cap, but you do get a brutal luxury tax that owners don't want to pay, and they will try to avoid paying. And if they do have to pay it, they're not going to pay it forever. They're going to come back because it just is an escalator that keeps getting worse. And we know billionaires, they want to be on their yachts. They want to have, a fifth yacht, another nice vacation home. So there is an incentive to keep him from doing that. What happened when Shohei Ohtani's contract came out, he really signed a $460 million contract, which is far less than what Juan Soto signed in his $500 million contract, half billion plus, which he gets all the money, not deferred. Um, he is taking $2 million a year in cash, but as far as the luxury tax cares, it's the $46 million. So the $700 million is an adjusted for inflation number that comes from an escrow account where he's deferring his money so that when he retires, he can have more money. So Shohei Ohtani's playing the long game with his financials. Now, if you want to argue that he's violating California tax code, I'm not going to be the guy to tell you that one. But as far as baseball goes, Shohei Ohtani is not doing anything wrong, and the Dodgers are not doing anything wrong. Do they spend an insane amount of money to build their team? Yeah. But they also haven't done this forever. Andrew Friedman was a cheapskate for 10 years up until Ohtani and Yamamoto came around. I mean, even Freddie Freeman, they would only sign guys to these shorter term contracts. I think a lot of fans are mad because the Dodgers keep winning, and I get it. People hate the Chiefs. People hated the Patriots. People hated Golden State. But it's not ruining baseball for that reason. The other thing is, I think what's really ruining baseball is owners that don't want to spend money. I think a salary floor is much more needed than a salary cap. And even then, spending money doesn't guarantee anything. I'm not saying this to poke fun at you guys, but as Angel fans, that Artie Moreno hasn't been afraid to open the checkbook, spend
We've
it
been top
correctly.
10 at least in payroll for
Yeah,
on and off for the last 10 years. And where has that gotten us?
precisely. The Dodgers invest their money in the farm. They invested in, cutting edge technology. They actually feed their players in the minor league system. They pay them, more livable wages. They treat their staff very well. From plenty of people that I know, the Dodgers are a world class organization in terms of how they treat their people.
Yeah.
So I think cheap ownership is that. And then the final point, baseball needs dynasties. As much as people hate to say it, sports is 10% dedicated diehard fans and 90% casuals. And casuals love to root against the dynasty. If it's Dodgers Mariners this year, you're gonna get a bunch of people that are watching the World Series and hate watching the Dodgers and rooting for the Mariners because the Mariners have never won the Dodgers or the evil empire. Where if it's Brewers Mariners, baseball fans, I'm gonna watch because it's baseball and I love the sport. You guys are gonna watch, but that's not gonna draw attention. And you saw the Rangers D-backs World Series ratings were horrible. I enjoyed it. I went to a game in Arizona. It was fun. Um, but the casuals don't care, and you need casuals for the sport to grow. And if we want this game to keep evolving, and if we want this game to at least make it's past the NBA. If we want it to really compete and pull in numbers even when the NFL's on, then you need a dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
And either way, guess what? Money doesn't win you anything in baseball alone. You see Milwaukee, they have a bottom 10 payroll. They're the best team in baseball this year in terms of record. Many reasons why it's not ruining baseball, in my humble opinion.
I have a question though,
Okay.
in response to that.
Yeah.
Do you need a lot of money to have a dynasty? Because, these smaller market teams are winning at times, like the Brewers, but like you said, they're not a big budget team. So is it possible to not have a lot of money, but still be said a dynasty?
I think it makes the road a lot tougher. I think it
Definitely.
certainly
Yeah, definitely.
it makes the road a lot tougher. I don't think it's impossible,
Mm-hmm.
the way it's impossible in football, where if I think it's damn near impossible to be a dynasty without a true elite starting quarterback, franchise quarterback. Whereas
Totally.
in baseball, it depends what you define a dynasty. If you're
Mm-hmm.
talking regular season dynasty, this is gonna sound weird the way I say it, but like the Tampa Bay Rays were consistently a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
The Milwaukee Brewers have consistently been a playoff team, a division winner. Um, So I think by not spending a lot of money, you can still be very, very good in the regular season. And I think come October, the road gets tougher because it's already a crapshoot, and you are competing against, teams like Texas that went out and spent a bunch of money to win a World Series, and the Dodgers, the Yankees. So it's very, very difficult, but
Hmm.
it's possible.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess not do a whataboutism, I don't think it's really possible to have a dynasty without spending money in any sport. I think
Yeah.
you have to spend money to have a dynasty. But I don't think you have to spend what the Dodgers spend either to
Hmm.
win multiple championships. Houston proved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I'm glad you mentioned that. Like, um, a team being a dynasty like brings in more fans and it makes it more popular for the sport, because you're right. Like, teams do want to see the Dodgers lose
Mhm.
because they make the playoffs every year, and a
Yeah.
big part of why they make the playoffs every year is because of the management and what they're able to do, like building up the farm system and then signing the guys and making the trades that they need in order to make themselves like an all around competitive team. And I think it is good for baseball when there's that big like juggernaut team that everybody wants to watch lose. It's not. I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, the Dodgers got 4 million people in attendance this year in the regular season. So like, saying that it's like ruining baseball or that it's bad for baseball, I don't think it's bad for baseball. I don't think it's any worse than like a team like the Pirates or the Marlins, who refuse to give their players money and like do not sign guys to big deals, because that's where you can kind of get um, less interest in a team, and like even the diehard fans can like lose interest in the team. But when you have a team with guys like Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and Clayton Kershaw, like that's a team that people want to watch play baseball. And I think it's been great for baseball in general.
Yeah. And those guys are also pretty public about how much they enjoy playing for the team as well. So that only adds to the fact. While other players, like you mentioned, the Pirates, I have not heard many good things about player experiences on the Pirates, or like similar to the A's, up until very recently.
Yeah. And I mean that's the thing, obviously. You guys kind of hit the nail on the head talking about other markets. And the Angels get to benefit from this as well. I think it's why they probably signed a lot of those big name free agents we talked about in the 2010s, and re-signed Mike Trout. Shohei Ohtani chose to come here. Um, Southern California is a beautiful place to live. So and it's the same thing in football. Like when OBJ hit the market, he wanted to come sign with the Rams. Players have chosen to sign with the LA Chargers, who have a history of being a disastrous franchise. They've just fumbled the bag on everything. The Lakers sign free. The Clippers get free agents just because it's LA. So to a degree, it's like you could have a team. You could have the Texas Rangers spend a bunch of money. They'll open up the checkbook and bring anyone. Not everybody wants to go to Arlington, Texas. A lot more players want to come to Southern California. It's just a beautiful place. So it's like, are you going to hamstring franchises based on where they're located? Like, you're born where you're born. You choose to root for who you choose to root for, and hey, power to you if you're a Pirates fan, because the day you finally win a championship, it will just hit like a Brinks truck, and I'll be very happy for you. But in the meantime, the world's an unfair place, and players want to play in Southern California. Padres too, they get players.
Yeah, very true. I think
Yeah.
it's also just the Dodgers are taking full advantage of any
Mhm.
loophole that MLB has allowed to like jump through, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they also have a really good TV deal, which I found out about this today.
Yeah.
I want to get your opinion on this, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of my uh facts that I have about this. So in 2011, the Dodgers owner bankrupted them for
Mhm.
multiple reasons, and then they got
They
new
were,
owners.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
they were forced to sell. It's essentially,
yeah.
yeah.
So during the bankruptcy hearings, they had to find a fair market value uh, to to place on the team.
Mhm.
And I read up on a Bleacher Report article that at the time of the hearing, the Dodgers' annual TV market value and the rights to it were $84 million with an annual 4% increase. All right.
Mhm.
And based on that figure, the Dodgers have to invest 34% of those earnings into the MLB revenue sharing fund, so
Mhm.
that other teams can receive wealth that are smaller markets, so that the wealth can be more distributed. All right.
Mhm.
But the Dodgers, after that, received a new TV deal, with Sportsnet LA, and they're estimated to bring in $200 to $300 million a year from the channel deal. But
Yeah.
they only have to pay based off the 84 million 4% interest figure. So they're
Mhm.
actually paying a lot less money into the fund than they actually are making. So they're able to keep a lot more of the cash and spend it on the stadium, the players, whatever.
Yeah. So that's an MLB loophole for sure,
Yeah.
where they don't have to invest nearly as much because of the TV deal. Kind of makes it like the Wild West. It's almost like the NIL in college, where there's really not a not really a checks and balances thing in place.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that is definitely something that the MLB, for all intents and purposes, probably should have changed up, to put the Dodgers in the position, where they're doing that, because I think the Yankees also benefited from the similar TV deal from Yes Network.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, because like, why are the highest salary teams paying the least amount of money back into the fund? You know what I mean?
no, it's a great point you bring up, and I think the TV deal, it's a thing that people bring up a lot, and I think it's if you want to have an argument or you want to have a say, this is a thing to talk about. I don't think, again, I'm not an expert on tech and
Yeah, yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
but so the Dodgers signed this deal in 20. I know the channel launched in 2014, and I know
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah. I'm pretty sure
because
it's 2014.
that's when I had to discover all those fun websites, like on Reddit, to figure out how to watch Dodger games, because we had DirecTV growing up.
Oh yeah, me
Um,
too.
yeah, so I'm like, am I gonna watch Angels games, or am I gonna like go on my computer and try to like figure out some elusive way to watch this?
Yeah,
But shout out Reddit MLB, good times. But I think why that probably happened, and of course, like I said, the LA market's just gonna always have its advantages. The Lakers signed that deal, so that got them a bunch of revenue, and we saw that made them a disaster for years after, until LeBron got there.
yeah,
Um, the sports media landscape completely just imploded on itself 10 years later. And I don't think people realized that that was going to happen. So I think the Dodgers were just at the right place at the right time. And that's how a lot of dynasties are born. The Yankees were in the right place earlier, and the Dodgers just got in that window where they were able to sign this insane TV deal. The Dodgers still had hype, but they didn't have the hype they do now. And it greatly benefited them.
yeah. And also
And I
the
think,
owners have like 50% share of said TV deal as well. So
yes,
they themselves are getting a good chunk of cash from it as well.
yeah, they are. And of course, it's huge investment, but it's an
Yeah,
insane return.
yeah,
Insane return. And of
yeah.
course, because it is owned by the Dodgers, they have to put more into it. Whereas the other networks, it used to be Fox Sports, then it became
Mm-hmm.
Bally's, now it's FanDuel. Those regional sports networks kind of operated on their own, and it was a little bit easier access. They probably thought, hey, this probably means one day the Houston Astros will launch their own network, and the Angels will launch their own network, and his teams deals expire, they'll launch their own networks, and they're going to make their own money, and they'll control their own TV rights. Well, COVID hit, and things changed. Sinclair bought up from Fox Sports all those regional sports networks, and it just didn't work out or pan out the way I think people thought it might. Um, it led to a lot of teams having to figure out, how are we going to broadcast our games on our own. The Phoenix Suns were the first to pull out of Bally Sports completely and just broadcast locally, kind of like how the Dodgers used to be on KCAL 9 back in the days, or
Mm-hmm.
KTLA. And now all of a sudden this system implodes. Meanwhile, the Dodgers get to benefit. Is it unfair? Yes. Is it something that maybe the MLB could address due to the circumstances? Absolutely. Um, but it doesn't go in a sense where it's illegal against the luxury tax. It's just, and we could go on sports media for hours on how much it's changed and shifted with the streaming era and cable cutting.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a weird technologically advancing time. People consume entertainment differently. This wasn't a thing 10 years ago, podcasts on YouTube. So it's a thing the MLB could definitely look into. And depending on how out of hand it gets, they might.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of fans who are in smaller market teams are only going to voice their negative opinions about everything louder and louder as time goes on. And, if the Dodgers and other bigger market teams are continuing to have more success and those smaller market teams are not having owners, invest back into their teams, I do think like the best all around idea is the salary floor. Like you do need to have a min amount of money going into your team, and like that should just be like the standard, like kind of like how MLB implemented the StatCast stuff. All 30 ballparks got the same technology to a degree. Other ballparks can determine how many cameras they actually want there based on the owners and stuff, which is also why the Astros were so good in 2017 because they put all their money into freaking cameras. But nonetheless, like that's still an ownership issue and an ownership issue that MLB allows for in its system. So I agree that like this isn't the Dodgers ruining baseball. It's just they are like receiving the most benefits and advantages from how the system is right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They are benefiting from that system. They got a break. And I think all dynasties, require you to catch a break in sports. The Patriots were a dynasty for 20 years. Why? Their division was horrible and they were stuck with three teams that, couldn't figure out a head coach and a quarterback. Golden State, they have the injury. Steph Curry signs a smaller deal. Boom, they're able to sign Kevin Durant. Um, I think baseball is unique in the sense that, like we talked about, money does not guarantee you a championship. The Dodgers have had seasons where they win well over 100 games and they get bounced early. They got swept by the Diamondbacks when they won 100 games. They, won 111 games the year before and got knocked out by the Padres. Of course, this team is uber talented compared to even those teams. But money still doesn't guarantee success in baseball. I, of course, am biased in this when I say this again, but I think the Dodgers being able to continue to have their regular season success and be in that market is still beneficial. And I think at the end of the day, all that really matters is winning a championship. And Milwaukee could very well walk into LA and, whoop them next round if the Dodgers, were going to, suggest that they beat Philadelphia. And I think that would kind of put this argument to bed. Because the Dodgers will never spend more money than they're spending right now. It's unrealistic to imagine that. And even when they haven't, the Dodgers signed this TV deal a very long time ago. It wasn't until this year or the last 2 years that they started spending money. This team was in World Series. They won in 2020 at COVID shortened season, but they went in 2018. They should have won in 2017. And those were with much decreased payrolls. Those were with farm system. That was with finding guys like Justin Turner and Chris Taylor and Brandon Morrow
And Yasiel Puig.
Puig, signing the international players. So as much as people hate him, people want to stop him. And I think that's the fan in a lot of people. They want to stop the Dodgers. Well, you can't, because you can't tell them to stop developing great farm system players, and you can't tell them to stop figuring out what works. You know what? I think if you tweak your swing up a little bit, Justin Turner, you'll be a good power hitter. Chris Taylor, I think if you go for the long ball, you'll actually hit it out. Brandon Morrow, if you rely on your cutter, you can't penalize that. You can't. That's good baseball management, and it's why I say as a Dodgers fan, you know what? Take our money away. Let us not be able to do what we're doing right now. I have full confidence they're going to win the West and they're going to go back to the World Series and they'll win at some point. Maybe I'm being arrogant, but it's just what I believe.
Yeah, like you said, that even if you take the money away, there's still a lot of things that the Dodgers and the Dodgers management is doing right. They're still developing a lot of those young guys, and they're still making the trades that they need to fill up the holes in their lineup. And whether or not they have like as much money as they do, I think they're still gonna find a way to make their team as good as they need to be to make the playoffs. But I mean, like you said, just because you have the money doesn't mean you're going to win the World Series every year. You know, the
Mhm.
Dodgers have won the World Series twice in the 2020s, but those are the only 2 World Series wins that they have in the 2000s. Like they've been winning. They've been winning the division. They've been making the playoffs like every year since 2013, but most of the time, like they're getting knocked out.
Yeah.
And there's another team that finds a way to win, which is why I would be really excited for a Brewers Dodgers series, because I feel like those are 2 very opposite sides of the coin. You mentioned that the Brewers don't have anybody in the top 100. The Dodgers probably have like 4 or 5 guys at least that I could think of off the top of my head.
Oh,
Like,
at least, yeah.
yeah, I mean, like that would be, I think that would be a great example of what different teams do well to make themselves get to the playoffs.
Totally.
It's an imperfect sport, but it's beautiful for that reason. I think that's why we all love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
How can you be not romantic about baseball?
Seriously, how can you not?
So I would say that wraps it up today, guys. What do you think?
Yeah, unless we wanted to make any predictions of any sort.
We could do some predictions. I like me some predictions. So I actually do have some numbers here. I'm glad you brought that up.
There we go.
Historically, in the regular season and in the playoffs, the Dodgers do kill the Brewers. In the regular season, 100 wins and 77 losses against the Brewers. In the playoffs, they are 6-3 against them. But in recent history, the Brewers have won their last 8 games played against the Dodgers. Honestly, I think this series is minimum going to game 6. Minimum. I could see a game 7. I'd love a game 7.
Yeah.
I want the Brewers to win, but if the Dodgers bullpen can lock it down, I think they'll win.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same spot. I mean, first of all, it's going to be an extremely competitive series. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. But I do think if the series does get to a game 6 or a game 7, the Dodgers have more pieces that they can use. I think they have more guys that they can go to in an emergency situation. Like we've seen what they've been doing with some of their starters, with Glasnow and Sheehan going to the bullpen, Kershaw being available. Like I feel like they have a lot more wiggle room or backup plan, I guess, if that makes sense. And I think, I mean, they've been playing pretty good baseball, but so have the Brewers. So
yeah,
I think I do think that the Dodgers starting pitching is going to handle the Brewers offense a little better than the Cubs have. I think we've seen some great performances from the Dodgers pitchers so far. Shohei and Blake Snell have been great in this division series. So I think that the Dodgers are probably going to find their way back to the World Series.
That'd be cool. I do think I do have one point. You mentioned earlier, CJ, about the Brewers, how they've been scoring a bunch of runs in the first inning. So if the Brewers can keep that up, I feel like they can have a bunch of success against the Dodgers, because the Dodgers bullpen is less consistent than their starting pitching. So if they can find a way to have success against the starting pitching, I feel like they'll have they'll have a much higher likelihood of winning, since the bullpen hasn't been as reliable. But if the starting pitching can hold it down and the bullpen can hold it down long enough, I know for a fact the bats will at least do the job.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I had the exact same thing in my notes, pretty much.
Yeah.
They're built to play from ahead for sure.
Yeah.
Ahead early. I think that's kind of been their recipe. Well, actually, it's not. I will say they did beat Philly game 1. Coming from behind, and they do have the most come from behind wins, which is strange, but it makes a ton of sense because their bullpen's blowing a lot of games and blowing saves. I think they had 26 this season. I think that the potential, I'll say potential as of right now, but I think and teams up 2-0 in a series are like 90% chance to win. I can only think of the Reds blowing it against the Giants that one year when the Giants won in 2012
or 2012, yeah,
which basically cursed the Reds from here on out afterwards.
pretty much.
Yeah, they kind of like went into obscurity. They were back in this year, which was fun. Hunter Green's awesome, but yeah, they kind of went into obscurity.
Yeah, I'm really glad they're like they were kind of sticking around the wild card like that last spot for a majority of the season. That was fun to kind of like keep in the back of my mind, like, will they, won't they, you know?
Yeah, they just put the Mets out of their misery early.
Early as last game of the season, I think.
Well, I mean, we all knew it was going to happen if they had to go play the Dodgers.
That's true. I mean, they did save them from possibly a similar fate, you know, like we'll get swept instead of you. It's okay.
Yeah, I didn't think that would happen. I actually thought the Reds would push it to 3. I thought they would take Game 1 with Hunter Green.
Yeah, unfortunately, Hunter Green,
Eh,
not no.
I would say he threw up on the mound, but he's done that before. So, um, no, I agree. The potential of a Dodgers Brewers series. Weirdly enough, I do think it'll be more competitive in terms of games in the Philly series. I don't quite know what it is with Philadelphia's offense when they get into the postseason, but it shrinks. They don't look like the same team in October the last couple years.
Yeah, I feel like they rely a lot on their home runs in October. Like
And if
any playoff highlight I see from the Phillies offense is just like a go ahead homer or a game
yeah,
time homer. Like outside of that, not much else.
yeah, they're not very station to station. Outside of Trey Turner, they don't run the bases particularly great.
Yeah, I think that's probably why the Brewers have been having a lot more success. They're very good at station to station.
That's why the Dodgers Brewers series I think is a lot more similar than people realize. Of course, the Dodgers have the superstars, but outside of the Teoscar Hernandez home run, I think when they beat the Reds game 2, they didn't hit a single home run.
Hmm.
And then the last game, they had that inning where they scored all the runs, and that was getting guys on base, making pitchers uncomfortable. They've actually, for a team that used to be kind of the Yankees formula, they've become great at going, base to base and being able to kind of be pesky and annoy the pitchers. I think that's
Hmm.
why Milwaukee will win at least a game or two, at least I think probably 2 games in a potential NLCS, but home runs matter a lot in October. That's why a lot of teams advance. Like
Yeah.
you talked about with Philadelphia, they've gone far in the past because they hit the long ball, and the Dodgers can play small ball, but they can also hit the long ball. Whereas Milwaukee does not hit with nearly as much power, and also we're going to end up in a game where it's Quinn Priester against Yamamoto or Quinn Priester against Blake Snell. I'm sorry, in October I am going to go with the big dog over the reclamation project. I've seen that story play out many times,
Hmm.
and it doesn't always end well.
Yeah. But, the bullpen's got to hold it down too, unless he goes CG.
Yeah, unless you could just go right to Sasaki for like 3 innings or Sheehan.
True.
I wouldn't be surprised if they would use Sasaki for multiple innings. I feel like that would be
Yeah, he's got enough
reasonable.
stamina for that.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
a starting pitcher. Yeah,
yeah, totally.
I wonder if they'll just. I think about it. I'm like, I wonder, will they eventually convert him to a full time reliever? Seeing
I
how
was
well he does this
like a
October.
long reliever.
Yeah, like is he like? Do they see him and think, you know what? You throw 101 miles an hour on average, you'll blow your arm out as a starter. Congratulations, Andrew Miller, Josh Hader 2.0. This is your new role. There's a ton of value in that.
Yeah, plus
Yeah.
I feel like he would benefit a lot from like that point we've been making like prior in this episode about batters not seeing him as often.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it kind of gives you an advantage as a reliever. I think that's why some guys flourish when they move to the bullpen.
Mariano Rivera is probably the best example.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Started. Yeah, right. He's similar thing. Started as a rookie pitcher. Didn't work out. My AirPods are about to die.
Oh.
I just got the sound in my AirPods, like the little bump sound. Yeah. Or they're
All
like 10% probably.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that wraps it up then for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Ian, thank you again for coming on. We really appreciate it. You gave a lot of very good insight into what it is to be a Dodger fan and what it is to be a knowledgeable one, too. So we appreciate that and giving us your time and perspective. We hope to have you on again in the future discussing more stuff. If the Dodgers make it on to the next series, we'd be happy to bring you on again to get some new ideas going if you're down.
Yeah, absolutely. Would love to come back. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll have a lot to chop up in the next few weeks about baseball.
Definitely.
and everything that's going on in the postseason. And then other than that, yeah, dude, let's next spring I'll have to make the drive back down to the OC, and we'll hit a game for like $10, get some Huckleberry Brewery X's, and have a good time.
Sounds like a
Oh,
great day
you
to me.
read my freaking mind.
Dude, those things are I'm so jealous of the Angels for that. That and some Kathy's cookies. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
Oh,
unfair advantage. Unfair advantage that you guys do have over Dodger Stadium with that.
You
I
know,
don't care how many games we lose. As long as we got that, I'm good.
Yeah, the Huckleberries and the cookies are fantastic.
Ian, I really appreciate you helping me find more things to find positive about being an Angels fan. You know, there's not many of them.
Hey, dude, you're never gonna have a positive life with a negative mindset. So no matter the situation, we'll get through. We'll get through. Cheap tickets, you know,
Yep.
some fun baseball early in the year. It's a good time.
Yep. If I dodge the negative mindset, I'll be an Angel. Boom.
There we go. You
Well,
said it. You said it, not me.
Yeah. All right, y'all. That's been today's episode of the Sci-Fly Zone. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, hit that like button, hit that sub button. We'll be making much more baseball content. If you're into sci-fi stuff, we make stuff about Marvel and DC. So feel free to check that out as well. But this has been the Sci-Fly Zone. Have a nice day. See you guys.